Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, August 25th, 2015. Please show me the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, welcome this morning. I would like to note that Commissioner Hyde is attending by telephone, so he's on the phone here and can hear us, and will also weigh in on any subjects today. First orders of business today will be the approval of the minutes for the August 19th, 2015 board meeting and the August 19th, 2015 staff meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of those minutes as presented.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 19th, 2015 board meeting and staff meeting. Is there any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This time, it's the time on our agenda for visitors' comments. We'll welcome visitors' comments that are on a topic that is not already on the agenda. If you'd like to come forward, identify yourself by name and address for the record.
Never been to one of these, so I don't know exactly how it goes.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm wondering, this is supposed to be like rules and regulations?
Okay, this is the time for visitors' comments. We'll need your name and address for the record, and this is for any topic that's not already on our agenda. So if this has something to do with the marijuana moratorium.
Yeah. Well, it has to do with where they're going to be located.
Okay, well, if it has to do with that topic, let's go ahead and wait until the public hearing opens for that.
But that's here.
That's here,
Oh.
here and now.
Okay, all
We're
right.
just going through the agenda
Okay.
in the regular
Okay.
order. So
Okay.
on that topic, we'll go ahead and address that shortly. Is there any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move forward. Now will be the time for our public hearing on the extension or potential extension of the marijuana moratorium, order number 44-2015. Madam Councilor.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is the time set for this matter. This is a hearing to consider an extension on the moratorium that was approved under ordinance number 2015-3. Notice of this hearing was provided in accordance with the ordinance, which set out a specific procedure. This hearing is legislative in nature, and although ex parte contacts aren't a concern in legislative hearings, conflicts of interest are. So I would just like to take this moment to ask the Commissioners if you have any conflicts of interest to declare.
I have none. Commissioner Hyde?
No. Okay, with that said, with legislative hearings, a pre-hearing statement isn't required, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the process because it would probably be helpful for people in the audience to understand what's going to happen. So this hearing is going to start out with a staff report. The board will then open the hearing to public testimony after the staff report is given.
Can you speak up on your microphone?
Yeah.
Can you hear me better? I
No.
don't know if this is on. I don't think this is
Yeah.
on.
Scratch that one. It should be. Can you turn it up on that one?
Doesn't sound,
You want to?
maybe I just need a, hello? No?
You want to move this one
Yeah.
down there? I don't know if the cord's long enough to.
I can just stand over here.
Sit up and talk.
Okay. I will just stand. Oh, wow, that's a lot different. Okay. So, I'm just gonna describe the procedure here, so that you know what's gonna be going on. This hearing's gonna start out with a staff report, and after the staff report, the board will then open it up for public testimony. Testimony should be directed toward the applicable substantive criteria, and in this case, the substantive criteria are in Oregon statute, ORS 197-520, 4, which is extension of a moratorium, and the ordinance that was adopted by the board, which is ordinance number 2015-3, section 6, duration of the moratorium. However, if you believe that other criteria or ordinances apply, you may feel free to address those as well. The thing is that you will need to address any issue with sufficient specificity to allow the board to respond. Otherwise, that issue, failure to present the issue with specificity may preclude your ability to raise it on appeal to LUBA. Okay, with that said, I think the only thing we have for the record is the staff report, which includes some exhibits, written comment that was received, and I would like to have that entered in as Exhibit 1. And unless the board has any questions of me, Todd Dugdale is here to present the staff report.
Commissioners? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Dugdale. Good morning.
Good morning. Todd Dugdale, Land Development Services Director. Good morning, Commissioners. I would like to just provide a summary of the staff report and provide a little bit of background as to for the hearing today. As was noted, the board on April 29th adopted ordinance number 2015-3, which established a 120-day moratorium on outdoor areas for marijuana grows and facilities for dispensing within unincorporated Columbia County. In that ordinance, there was a statement that of intent that the county indicated that it was likely that we would need to get an extension of the moratorium, which is provided by law by the ORS that was just referred to, in order to complete the process of reviewing amendments to the Columbia County zoning code. That process, of course, includes several hearings, notice to various agencies as well as to the public. There are essentially 4 criteria in state law for extension of a moratorium. The first being that we need to identify or indicate that the problem giving rise to the need for the moratorium still exists. Very simply, the finding would be that yes, it does continue to exist, namely the need for Columbia County to adopt zoning code provisions that specify where marijuana uses may be allowed by what process and according to what standards. We currently do not have those. The impacts of proceeding with the citing of uses in the absence of the appropriate regulations were cited as reasons for the original moratorium, and they persist in as much as we have not adopted those regulations. I'm going to talk about specifically the process that we have undergone since the imposition of the original moratorium that requires that we have an extension in just a second. The second criterion is that we demonstrate reasonable progress to alleviate the issue that gave rise to the moratorium, namely the lack of regulations, Columbia County regulations addressing marijuana uses. Let me very briefly go through what has transpired since we adopted the original moratorium in April 29th. In June 2015, a 12-member marijuana advisory committee comprised of citizens with diverse range of interests was formed. We met 3 times during the month of June. This group, as I say, represented a broad range of interests. We've got some very candid discussion about various key issues. We systematically reviewed how the current ordinances of Columbia County would treat marijuana uses, and specifically talked about the gaps in those ordinances in terms of areas where we're silent about certain types of uses, and the issues relative to review processes and standards that could be applied to those uses should we make amendments to the zoning code. So we basically, again, systematically reviewed uses and options. In July of this year, we spent time reviewing the recently adopted amendments, substantially amended Medical Marijuana Act and the Recreational Marijuana Act, Measure 91, which was, those amendments coming as part of House Bill 3400. We basically, as other jurisdictions throughout the state, were digesting just what the implications were for land use in those regulations. In August, in this last month, we were busy drafting amendments to the Columbia County zoning ordinance, taking into consideration those state amendments that were adopted, actually became effective. I think the governor signed those into law right at the end of June, basically took effect around July 1st. So we were looking at those and incorporating those amendments into draft. The plan is right now to release a draft, a detailed draft of the proposed amendments to our zoning code on Thursday, this Thursday. We will post those amendments. We will send out the required notice to the Department of Planning Conservation Development Commission, which requires a more than a month notice, 35-day notice, before the first evidentiary hearing on those amendments. And we'll also send out, mail out those draft amendments to the Marijuana Advisory Committee and our Citizen Planning Advisory Committees for a hearing to be scheduled, the first hearing before the Planning Commission on October 5th, 2015. As the board is aware, there are various standard procedures for both notice and review of legislative amendments, which this is, that require a substantial amount of time. So the extension that we're talking about here, up to 6 months from the expiration of the current moratorium, the 120-day moratorium on August 27th, would extend to February 27th in order to incorporate the public review processes both before the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners, leading to adoption. So with that, that's primarily the background I think that we need to have in going, considering the matter as to the extension. And we're allowed up to 6 months under state law upon these findings of the necessity of same. And what staff's recommending is that the board do extend the moratorium for an additional 6 months to February 27th to allow ample time to conduct the hearings, do the deliberations, and adopt Columbia County's regulations. One other thing I should note too, and you may be aware of, I think the board is aware of, and whether the audience is aware of, that OLCC, who has been charged with the adoption of administrative rules for recreational marijuana facilities, has yet to issue detailed rules. We are anxious to see those rules, especially as they may relate to land use provisions. And we would hope during this extension, as these draft amendments are making their way through the legislative adoption process, that we can, one, become aware of what those are, and two, incorporate those to the extent that possible. So with that, any questions?
Then I just wonder if you would walk us through again the process. You talked about that a little bit. There's a 35-day waiting period after notice is given.
Right.
You can hold the meeting on October 5th.
Yes.
So what happens after that?
Okay, just to reiterate, we will release the draft amendments on Thursday. We will mail a notice, which is required by law, to the Department of Land Conservation Development Commission with the proposed amendments during the same time frame. We have to mail a notice. This is something that is significant. We have to mail a Measure 56 notice out for this legislative amendment. That means that every property owner in unincorporated Columbia County will get a green card, which indicates, which announces the hearing on the proposed amendments on October 5th. So we will have, again, as we did with the original moratorium, we sent out a green card. Those go to every property owner in unincorporated Columbia County. We thought we would err on the side of, if we do err on coverage of anyone that may be interested or affected by including everyone. So that will go out likely later this week or next week under provisions of law. Then we will be giving, notice of the notice of the legislative hearing before the Planning Commission October 5th in the newspapers. And then the staff report would be issued probably a week to 2 weeks before the October 5th hearing before the Planning Commission. That would include detailed findings in support of the proposed amendments. And then on October 5th, the Planning Commission hearing. From that point on, it's a little indefinite depending on how long the Planning Commission needs to take to both hear comment and to deliberate towards a decision on a recommendation to the board. And then, of course, the next step would be to send the recommendation to the board hold a hearing or hearings to deliberate towards a decision.
Are there rules and regulations around the hearing? If we were to have a hearing, the Planning Commission has their hearing, they make a decision a week later or whenever they would do that, then we're going to look to adopt something like that, so we have to give notice?
Yes, you would have to also give, there would have to also be appropriate legislative notice of the board hearings following.
Which is how long?
I believe it's publication twice in the newspaper and mailing to parties who participated in the hearings before
So
the
in this
Planning
community,
Commission.
that'd be at least 14 days?
At least 14 days, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, you string those things together, particularly the 35-day notice before the first evidentiary hearing before the Planning Commission, and you're talking, a good 90 days right there just to get to the point where you're in a position to make a decision. Doesn't necessarily include continuation of hearings or meetings by the board or Planning Commission to deliberate towards a decision, those kinds of things.
So the thing with fast track, we'd still be looking at the middle of November.
Yes, yes.
And if there's a continuation of the hearing, conflicts of dates, you're going to be looking at
Right.
sometime in December.
Right. I think the need here would be to set the horizon such that we could accommodate a good and thorough process. I think what has been of concern up to this point, if I may say so, has been, just the fact that we needed to have develop the rules, develop the draft rules and get them out for public comment so the public has an opportunity to engage us in that discussion. And I think we need to provide ample time for the public to digest these proposed amendments, to comment on them, and for both Planning Commission and Board to hear those comments and deliberate.
Okay, Commissioner Hyde, did you have any questions?
Not at this point.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and open this hearing. And for folks that would like to testify to the board, please come forward to the front table and identify yourself by name and address for the record. Jan, does it help or hinder you whether we have for and against in any particular order, or does it?
I think it's better to have proponents for and then against.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start with folks who are in favor of the moratorium, and then we'll go to people that are opposed.
Could we have some questions first about how things would work, neither pro or con for the measure?
You're welcome to do that during your testimony.
Okay.
And it doesn't make any difference when you want to come up.
Okay.
We're happy to address that or have staff address that as best we can.
Okay.
Commissioner, I wonder if we should just go down order on the.
Oh, did you, or is this what?
That's the sign-up list for the people who want to testify.
Oh, okay, I thought this was just for anyone that was in the room.
Oh,
It's for
okay.
anybody
Oh, it's
that's
just
in the
for
room.
any-
And
okay.
just for clarification, this is just so I can send notice to anybody that wants notice. So if you put your name and your address on there, you don't want to testify, you can just put you're opposed, you're in favor, and if you want to make a comment. Then you don't have to come up to testify. But you're still able to do that too. So if anybody else wants to sign that, just so we have your name and address to send any information to, it will be available after the hearing too.
Okay, so let's go back to the original. Folks that are in favor of the moratorium, please come forth. Identify yourself by name and address. Sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm William Etter, E-T-T-E-R, Scappoose resident.
Good morning.
I was part of the advisory committee, referenced this zoning ordinance issue, and I would like to see the moratorium extended to its full extent in January. More time is needed for, among other reasons, this particular body here, the commission, is taking the necessary time to really think this issue through. Other communities in the state as well as the county haven't, and they may have gone in the wrong direction without giving enough thought to it. So more time is necessary, in addition to the fact that there's no guidance from the OLCC at this point, as was previously stated. Why go out on a limb and create problems when we have the ability to bring time on our side, so that in our own defense, at some point in the future, should there be any issues of liability or whatnot, that necessary time was taken to address the issues that were at hand. So with that, I thank you very much for this opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Other folks that are proponents in favor of the extension of the moratorium that would like to speak, please come forward. Good morning.
Morning. Bob Gregg, 62623 Burn Road, Vernonia.
I'm sorry, could you give the address again?
Bob, Vernonia. And I'm for the moratorium to be extended because whatever rules are made, we need to make certain that they're done correctly. If it takes more time to get them right, then we need to take more time. Another concern I have is with the protection that the neighbors have from the people that are the growers. They can bring an undesirable element into the neighborhood. Even my neighbor's a grower. He even admits that someone's going to come up the road to rob him someday and may stop at the wrong house, and that would be my house. And so I personally don't think that these people should be able to hide behind HIPAA. I think it should be public information, so who they are, and that way the neighbors, if they need to put added security in to their own homes to protect their homes from these other people that are going to come around, they would have the ability to know that. If a new family wants to move to Columbia County and they don't want to raise their children next to some growers, they should be able to get that information and choose where they want to buy their house and move to Columbia County. They shouldn't wake up some morning and find out that these people, even though what they're doing is legal, that they have these people for their neighbors. So I guess that's, I think we need to make certain we have some rules that protect the neighborhood. And we can find out who these people are. And we're not trying to put them down, we're just trying to protect the other people.
so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other folks that would like to testify in favor of the extension? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Lola Gray. I have the same address as the guy that just spoke. My concern is, we had some people come up to look at our place. They were very interested in buying it until they found out our neighbors are growers. What is this doing to the value of our properties? And what are we gonna do about it? I mean, I know it's legal. I know some people think it's wonderful stuff. That's fine. This is America. But the people that aren't interested in it shouldn't have to put up with not knowing who they are and what's going on in their neighborhoods. So that's something I would like you guys to think about and maybe give us an answer of what this is gonna do to our property values. Thank you.
Thank you. There are other folks who would like to testify in favor of the extension. Anyone else who would like to testify in favor, a proponent? Others to testify in favor of the extension? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into opponents of the extension. Please come forward.
Right here.
Identify yourself by name and address for the record.
Michael Johnson,
Good morning.
Scappoose,
Green Meadows.
Green Meadows. I've lived in this county since 1993. I bought property out here in Scappoose, and I paid it off. Now my folks own it. But anyway, this county's always been backwards and stuff. And I myself have had grown medical marijuana. My neighbors, they've known about it. There hasn't been no problems. I would like to know the problems that so far legalization has caused. Has there been any problems? Here's an article from the Denver Post. Home prices have shot up by double digits. Inventory has fallen dramatically. This is in Denver where they legalized it in 2012. You guys are worried about the property values. And multiple offers with bidding wars have become common. One factor driving demand is pot. The budding industry has impacted home prices since the state legalized marijuana in 2012. There has been a huge bump in real estate prices due to the legalization of marijuana. According to James Payne, managing partner at West Realty Advisors. Now, what's this saying? It's not pot that's driving price down. It's people that are against pot that make it seem bad. It's a good thing. Okay, in March, Denver experienced the second largest jump in annual home prices at 10%, just behind San Francisco, according to S&P. While the legalization of marijuana isn't the only thing driving the market, it has contributed to the job growth in the area that has people flocking to Denver. The pot industry is creating jobs we didn't have before. A real estate agent who worked in Denver for 24 years. It's brand new. It adds a whole new factor to the area. You have real estate needs, housing needs, job needs. The industry has created jobs beyond growers and dispensaries. Legal marijuana has also been a boom for existing businesses like security, HVAC companies who service the green businesses. Electricians have grown from mom and pop to big-time electric companies. It says agent at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Denver and the surrounding areas have also become a hotspot for the tech industry, adding to the job rush. Now you're telling me this lady, these people are worried about their job, property prices. If they want them to go up, let's be the first county to actually embrace cannabis, bring it in, and we'll see a boom. Because we're still new. First gets the most. And I say that if we embrace it, say this is where we want people cannabis to come, we will have a boom here in this county that we haven't seen since the timber. Now that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition of the moratorium? Sir, please come forward. Good morning.
Hi, I'm James Owen from Rainier, 7
Last name?
Owen, whatever you And I don't know if this is on the agenda or not, as far as people smoking pot, if they want to, that's their choice. I got no problem with that. My problem is, where I live, right across the street, there are abandoned, well, not abandoned. It's a store that closed years ago. And then a couple of gentlemen wanted to reopen it for, what I understand, is a distribution center for marijuana. That's entirely okay too. They can buy a place across in front of their house instead of in front of my house to sell, as far as I'm concerned. We've got one house, three houses down the street. Sheriff's Department's been there 4 times in the last month. We got a house across the street right next to the store. The Sheriff's Department, how many times? And I went over and was talking with them. They're finding needles and all that. I know needles ain't got nothing to do with marijuana, but it's a drug. This gentleman can say property prices. That might be. I can't attest to that. My problem is, I don't want kids around this stuff. They're not old enough. My wife and I go to Arizona every year. I come home and find that much stuff going out of my truck shop because somebody wants to buy dope. Somebody's going to get shot. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to testify in opposition of the moratorium? Sir. Good morning.
Morning. My name is Marvin Greer, Rainier, Oregon.
Was that Marvin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was clean and sober. My clean and sober date was 1996. What happened is I had some health issues. And I became a marijuana patient. But I had to go to my AA sponsor, which I don't drink and I don't do the drug. What this gentleman ahead of me was talking about, in Rainier they have a meth problem and it's really bad. That's the issue he's addressing. I live in Rainier and I've had some stuff stolen from me. And there's some meth houses. All the cops are aware of them. My neighbor behind there is a janitor at the cop shop. So I know what's going on. And what happened was I had to go to my AA sponsor because I hadn't done anything in 17 years. They were going to offer me morphine versus my card. I'm a recovering addict. I had to make that choice. And what I found out is when I took the marijuana, it dulled the pain, but I'm not addicted. I know people in AA who are given painkillers and they went back out. We voted yes on 91. This is, there's the government is still doing experiments and they're finding beneficial uses for this. Colorado, the income has improved. In Rainier, they don't have enough money to pave all the roads. The taxes from this would help pave and improve the community. They will set aside, the taxes will set aside, Oregon will set aside so much for treatment. It's a win-win bit of thing. I can't tell you how many people I know that have been clean and sober have chose their green card instead of the pain pill. 2 weeks ago, I found out my little brother died from his addiction. And the big book says some of us have to die so some of us can live. Well, I'm going to live. I'm not going to do the pain pills, and I'm going to keep my green card. But I want you to know there are benefits other than people coming in. There's 2 different types going on here. A lot of these people are talking about there's a lot of meth use in Columbia County, and you both know, all of you know it's bad. I tried to sponsor some of these people who come into AA, and they're so spun. That's not what the OMP program's about. It's about helping people who have to make a difficult choice in their life, who don't want to go back out to the hell they lived. That's where I'm coming from. And to set up a moratorium and tell me that I can't grow my medicine outside, or people who are real, I grow for other patients. I give them their ounce free. Because I know they're on public assistance and they can't afford much. It's a win-win benefit. I don't understand. You guys are gonna collect taxes, we're gonna improve the community, and property tax, and property's gonna go up? I don't understand. And then you'll have extra money to deal with these tweakers. You can hire more law enforcement, you can, I don't understand. There's a few individuals who are stuck on a mindset, haven't done the research behind the useful benefits of it. And I believe they're, in my opinion, closed-minded about the issue. I understand that there needs to be laws, but to have someone who is an AA, I'm 17 years sober, nothing. I was an everyday meth user. To finally having health issues and having to make that decision. And you've got a lot of people in Columbia County that are sober and they're getting older and they're going to have to make that decision. And them people I'm speaking for today. Thank you.
Appreciate your passion, and sorry about the loss of your brother too. Nobody wants to go through that. Sir, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Nathan Hockey. I live at St. Helens, Oregon. I've listened to a lot of my
I'm going to
fellow
ask you one more
I
thing.
can't
Can you
hear
spell
you.
your last name?
Hoffee. Just like coffee, but with an H.
Okay, and your address?
I remember you saying that before.
St. Helens, Oregon.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot of my friends and a lot of fellow military members speak about wanting to legalize this. We did the same thing with alcohol prohibition. To get rid of our black market, we need to make the stuff like we do with alcohol, tobacco. We need to sell it. We need to regulate it. Everybody says that we need to keep it off our children's hands. What does that, how do we stop alcohol and tobacco from ending up in our children's hands? It still does it. It's still here. I don't see any progress on that. How about the other drugs that the children get? I know they get, there's more alcohol in our high schools than anywhere else. 80% is that number. So how are we stopping that? That's completely legal. Anybody can buy it, anywhere. There are dry counties, yes, but what stops them from going outside the county? Thank you, that is all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other testimony in opposition of the moratorium extension. Sir, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Shiloh Parkin. I live in Rainier. I have a few different views on this than a lot of people due to my personal situation. I personally voted against Measure 91 because I knew that it would hurt me and the people that I help. I knew that this is what it would cause. We had medical laws for 17 years. There was no issues about land use and how this land use should be done. Now all of a sudden the medical issue is drawn into the legalization issue, and now we have problems. I had a house that I was supposed to be moving into that was in the county area that was not in the town of Rainier anymore. Because of this moratorium, I had to back out of that house because it was illegal for me to start up my new operation there. My son has epilepsy. 3 days ago, I spent all day in the ER with him while he had 3 seizures, dislocated his jaw 3 separate times. It takes almost 2 pounds of dry medicine to make 1 ounce of the medicine that he needs to help with his seizures. I can't do that inside. You guys are taking medicine away from the children. You're hurting the children. You're hurting the patients that need this medicine because of rec, because of money, because everybody wants to strangle everybody's throat over money. All my medicine is given away to patients that need it. I have another patient that is trying to come to me now that has brain lesions. He's been in the hospital for over a month. They don't know what's going on with him. I can't take him on because I can't move out to the country in the unincorporated areas because you guys all of a sudden said, no, you can't do that anymore. It's been all right for 17 years for you to make patients for people, but now it's make medicine for patients, but now it's not. And it's wrong. And it's wrong that patients are the ones that are suffering because of the greed. Thank you.
Thank you.
This shouldn't include medical. This should all be about rec.
17 years it was fine.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify in opposition of the extension of the moratorium? Please. Good morning.
Good morning. May I ask you, Commissioners, a question?
You may identify yourself by name and address for the record.
I can do that. Jody Tate, Jodi, Tate, Rainier, 97048.
And this is a public hearing. You're welcome to address us and tell us your concerns.
Okay. Have any of you commissioners done any type of research whatsoever on medical marijuana?
I'll answer that one question and then we'll move on because we're not going to go into a whole series of
Exactly.
questions.
Yes or no?
All I can tell you is I know more about marijuana today than I have ever known in my entire life, because one thing that we do, whether it's an issue pertaining to marijuana or land use and other things, everything that comes before us, we research and we research and we research. And the stack of documentation that we have on this issue is no less than any other issue. I've got magazines laying on my desk right now that I would have never thought I'd ever have seen before. So yes, I can tell you that as a group, any issue that comes before us is not taken lightly. We research them very in depth. And again, hearing what we're hearing here is many of you people and many, many, many more on every side of this issue, whether it has to do with hemp or medical or recreational, have been filing in and out of our office for months. So
Okay.
I can answer it in that degree, but we won't be going through a whole line of
That's
questions.
exactly fine. One more question. You realize that you can use medical marijuana and not get high or stoned?
Ma'am, I spent all yesterday afternoon inside of a professional grow operation, so I'm very aware of all of that.
Fantastic.
And we have all been researching that stuff for months and months and months. Now, we'll go on to your concerns.
Okay, and my concern is, like the gentleman has said earlier, you do need to grow a lot of product to produce the oil that is needed for the patients. There has been research I have been following that now they are saying that MRSA, this will put MRSA at bay. I've seen this happen. I know this is warts. It will make warts go away. It is an oil that does amazing things to patients. And to limit on yes, we can't grow outside or no, we can't grow outside, have we determined if a greenhouse is an indoor and an outdoor? We need to be able to produce the products too. And I am so excited that the dispensaries have become open. Now we can supply our products to local. We can shop local. We can spend our money here. That is my big concern. Expansion-wise, that's going to be up to the state whether or not we can grow more or less. But if we're not allowing us as growers to grow outside and produce the medicine that we need for our patients, that's just not right. Like they said, it's been this way for years. And to tell us what we can and cannot do with our property is just, it's ridiculous. And so that's all I have to say.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So much. Others that may want to speak in opposition of the extension? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Dave Ehrenkranz. I'll spell the last name, Ehrenkranz. I live at Place in Warren. I have a couple questions, not of the type that were just asked, just procedure questions first. Can the moratorium, as it stands, be adjusted, amended, changed?
Madam Counselor.
Not without going through a bigger process to do that.
That's what I was afraid of. Okay, the other question is, if the moratorium was not extended, I realized that the land use process that Todd was referring to, would still be going forward, correct?
Correct.
And so if the moratorium was not extended, it's not at all obvious to me what harm would be. Yes, there'd be some uncertainty until they are done, but, okay, there's been that uncertainty for a long time. I don't see any great harm. Yes, if somebody was to establish a grow with someplace that was later deemed you can't do it there, well, that's a risk that they may or may not be willing to take. Okay? Again, I don't see any great harm there. It's not obvious to me, well, first of all, go back to why I asked if things could be adjusted. I believe you each received a letter from me, an email from me, saying that I thought you rushed into things too quickly. And recreational growing by individuals with the larger question, which you have to deal with, about commercial things. And gee whiz, as it stands now, where I live, I have less rights than somebody who lives in the city, because I can't grow 4 plants outside, and I got lots of acreage. But I can't do what somebody in the city can do. And I think it's your fault for rushing into that. Because I tried to bring that up when this whole thing was going on, but you were busy with your larger issue, and I do understand that. That's enough. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further testimony in opposition of the extension? Is there further testimony in opposition? Good morning.
Hello, my name is Ken Kovash. I live in Deer Island. And we have an attorney that's involved with the Land Use Board of Appeals. And I think we're the only ones in the county that do. We're a extreme nonprofit medical marijuana farm, so we really can't afford it. But my father was just resigned a couple months ago as the mayor of West Lynn. So I know a lot about the briefings that have been made and legal advice. This moratorium is silly. It's baseless, right? It's you guys are putting restrictions on an emerging marketplace at the wrong time. You're tying our hands. I've got an investor tomorrow flying in from Holland, right, to meet me. He's an angel investor. We've got a collaboration with a multi-billion-dollar international corporation. We're looking to do expansion into the recreational market to gain canopy space to produce more medicine. And the permits for that are going to be accepted in January. That's when the state thinks that they'll have applications ready. The process in Washington, I think they accepted permit applications for 30 to 45 days. That's it. If you didn't get a permit in that time, you're out of the picture, right? So all of our investors at this point, people who have farms, people who are interested in both medical and recreational, are stuck in this quandary where we've got investors that are saying, what's your county doing? And it doesn't make sense. We've got the cheapest power in the United States. We've got warehouse space that's just sitting empty. I mean, $3,000 for 10,000 square feet out there in Deer Island? That's ridiculous, right? Warehouses all through the Willamette Valley are sold out. There's bidding wars over it. And you guys are sitting on your hands and making us do it too. We can't get commitments from investors right now. We're looking to be, if we get this investment, we'll be the 14th largest investor in the Tri-County area, right? We need you guys to help us to do this correctly, right? The regulations that are coming in place, You got cameras on literally everything is tracked. It's tracked seed to sale. It's not your responsibility to make those things up. But the Planning Commission has had ample time, and you know where you're gonna put this stuff, right? You guys know where to put it. You guys know how to zone it. Just do it. This is a timber community that's dead, right? We would have dispensaries in St. Helens if you guys would lift the moratorium, right? If the city did, if you guys did, we can move forward with commerce. I've got Shimatsu USA is collaborating with me to do a scientific center of cannabis testing excellence. I'd like to put it right out there by Bing's. I'm not gonna, I got 6 doctors and 2 chemists that'll work in this place, right? I wanna bring professionals into this community, and I can't do it because of this moratorium. If you even take medical out now, because it's silly to put medical into the moratorium that the governor gave you guys 1 year to do to develop your planning, right? The moratorium wasn't to buy a year, to buy another time period, to buy another time period. We're the only county doing it. This doesn't make sense. If you guys know about the industry, you know how it's gonna be regulated. I mean, I spent $60,000 for a fencer on my 3-acre property. We're trying to do things the right way, right? We don't sell any smokable products to anybody. We give away medicine to patients, and we need to be able to deliver it. We need to be able to deliver our sales pitch to our investors at this critical juncture. If you do another moratorium, you tie our hands, right? Completely. There has to be a way for everyone to work together. We know the concerns of law enforcement, and they're valid. There are things that will happen if this industry is unregulated. But the way you guys are going about things, it allows everybody to slide by under the radar. You're allowing the black market. If you move forward with regulations now, and you say, move everything into light industrial areas, you got a brown zone down there where the tissue plant was, make that a marijuana-free zone, right? Make that a place where you bring commerce into the city. You got $100 million or something to develop the deal, $100,000 to develop the planning for it, then do it. The port got it. We want to move forward. We have corporate tours that come out to our farm. I mean, we've got guys that are flying in from Japan to come over and learn things from us. We really need this county to be evolutionary, right? This isn't how America's supposed to work. There's 430 world patents for cannabis right now. China's got 330 of them, right? They're the world's largest exporter of hemp in the world. We have to be able to compete. We can't sit here on our hands hoping that someday the owls are going to make a comeback. This place, I mean, we've wanted to put a dispensary in St. Helens for 4 years, since we moved out here. And we moved out here because our power bills are 50% less than they were with PGE. You guys can market to, and so can we for you. We can market this place to the country. This is one of the places that the big farms are gonna come to. And Monsanto and Phillips Morris just bought 100 acres out in Hood River. They're coming, right? Are you guys gonna miss the boat? Because it's big, and we've got dead terminals down there. You can use every single part of this plant. It can replace the timber industry.
Yep.
Literally. The Constitution's written on hemp. It's the strongest fiber on earth other than spider webs, and we can grow that stuff all over the place. One of those things that grows regionally. This isn't just a knee-jerk deal that when it becomes federally legal, it's going to be under FDA control. It's going to be another crop. It's just going to be such a large scale. You can use this, it outproduces corn per acre for biofuel. Corn farmers getting subsidized across the United States, and literally we can make changes right now. You guys can help us do that, but you have to develop these rules. If you do, this county is going to get flooded with commerce. I can put $4 million worth of equipment into a building here in St. Helens and run a laboratory that everybody in the country is going to try to come and get their stuff tested in. And I don't want to put that down on Northwest 2nd and Burnside, where I'm fixing to put it right now. Because I have to have something in place that I can tell these investors, here's where we're putting the facility. Right here, I mean, we've always wanted to bring commerce into our city. Since we moved to the area, we've always tried to deal with local businesses. We don't want to go far. And we're partnering with companies literally every day. I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate that. Is there other testimony in opposition of the extension? Other testimony in opposition of the extension? Is there other testimony in opposition of the extension? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Close hearing and then deliberate?
Sure, yes, and you know you have an order before you.
Yeah, that we have to. Okay, at this time, we'll close the hearing and move to deliberations on order number.
44?
It was
Oh, here, 44-20. Okay, let's go ahead and start with Commissioner Hyde. Assuming you're still there. Commissioner Hyde? Are you able to hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, we've closed the hearing, moving into deliberations. Thought we'd start with you.
Well, I don't know that my position has changed much. I'm hearing much the same as what I heard. You know, I offered up a amended order the last time and it didn't fly, so I'll leave that alone. But I do commend our staff for working forward to make our own rules. You know, I had predicted that the state wouldn't have their rules in place in time, and here we are. Frankly, that's a bit of a disaster. Though I'm happy that we're continuing to develop a set of rules that I think are comprehensive and takes in all of the issues, both on the medical and the recreation side. My biggest concern continues to be having sales in areas that we may not have rules around. I'm still concerned with regards to the moratorium on medical grows outside. I heard compelling testimony again today of why that's not a great idea and that we have had 16 years plus to put rules in place. At the same time, I've also heard from folks who are impacted by medical grows that are right up against their fence. We know that we have to have rules around that. So I think I'm just going to leave it alone at this point, and I'm still opposed to the moratorium. I am very interested in us having some comprehensive rules around this subject as soon as possible. We'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hyde. Commissioner Fisher.
Todd, could you answer a couple questions for
Sure.
me? We've heard some folks who are very concerned about medical marijuana and not being able to grow. How does this impact people who are growing presently for their either own recreational use or for medical marijuana?
Well, those who have been growing that established their grows prior to the moratorium can continue their growth. This moratorium applies to new or expanded existing grows. Okay.
So if someone has, 4 plants or whatever the number is, for medical marijuana for their own use or to share, they're not impacted.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. I can't expand.
Excuse me, we're talking to staff here.
If it was established before the moratorium was imposed, yes, they would
They would not be
continue.
impacted by this, if it was established prior to.
It's a moratorium, yes.
So we're not shutting anybody down.
That had previously established, they had a registration as a grower, a medical marijuana
I
grower.
thought, that's what I had heard.
I might also mention, the question came up about personal grows, recreational grows. The intention of the moratorium was not to apply to that, only to those marijuana uses that require either a registration or a license from the state. So the private grows, which are now legal in Oregon, up to 4 plants, I believe, without need for registration or license, are not covered by the moratorium.
So the individual that is, wants to grow
Right.
their own property can do so.
Right. Individual, homegrown, right.
Okay. The people that we're talking about are people, as the last gentleman who wants to expand, we're asking them through the moratorium not to do anything until we're in place. I just want to make clear that, I thought I heard some folks talking about it, that what they were doing presently was going to be forbidden. As Mr. Hyde had said, I don't know that I've changed my position from initially either. I think we need to have some rules, they need to be put in place. We're trying to move as expeditiously as we can. I think one of the points I was trying to make ahead of time is that the process itself takes time. If anybody's worked with government, you know that this takes time. And I think we just have to do that, rather do it right than have, for example, a road start up, find out that we have rules come in 6 months later that are different, and we have 2 different kinds of rules for people who are living perhaps side by side. And I think it's necessary to try to have those rules in place. I commend the staff for moving as quickly as they did. I think at the end of the first hearing, we heard people who had good ideas. Those folks are able to work together. They put together a set of preliminary rules, is my understanding, which will be presented to the Planning Commission. And we would do it sooner if we could. We simply can't. So I guess those are the comments I would say.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. I'd just like to start out by saying that for the folks that have a glimmer of thought in their mind that we don't think these processes through, and that we don't hear every side of these issues, and that we don't understand where you're coming from, I'd just like to try to give you some assurance that we work on this, we work on all of these issues very in depth. I would have, as I alluded to earlier, yesterday I spent the entire afternoon in a huge medical marijuana grow facility and saw, learned a ton about that product that I wouldn't have learned without walking into a commercial facility. I've been in backyard grows here in the county. I have talked to your children who have autism that are being appropriately medicated. I have talked to people that have brain tumors that they allege have been shrunken and have been appropriately treated by the use of those products. I dispute none of that, and I'm absolutely certain that there are people out there that get value from these products. And quite frankly, the voters of the state of Oregon have spoken. We're going to have we have legal medical marijuana, we have legal recreational marijuana, but as Mr. Kovash, is it? Is that,
yes.
Did I pronounce that right? As he points out appropriately in one of his statements was, you guys need to make some rules. You guys, assuming you're talking to us, we need to develop these rules, in his words. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Now, we're also breaking new ground, because one of the things that we didn't expect, or we probably should have expected, but we didn't expect to the degree it was the state pretty much taking no action. I mean, here we are, it's legal to have recreational marijuana today, but still we have no OLCC rules. We're supposed to be the governing body of that. We do have people who I feel will be absolutely great neighbors in this field, whether you're a grower or a dispensary or a laboratory that's refining product, oils, and all of those kinds of things. We're going to have great neighbors, and then we're going to have a few like neighbors that some of us have had that park junk cars in the front yard. You know, the bottom line is we have to create land use ordinance in this county that helps to deal with the potential nuisances. That doesn't mean that we assume that everybody that has a finger on cannabis in one way or the other is a bad person, or that they're going to do it inappropriately or anything else. But we have to create ordinance at the local level in order to try to make neighborhoods safe, to make people feel like, you know, when you allude to someone who lives in rural Vernonia who feels a little less safe because they've got a grow next door, we have to be able to at least try to wrap some fence around this so that we can hopefully have a good process going forward. And what that means to me is that we don't rush into it. We're working as quickly as we can. As you heard earlier in the timelines, we're required to give a 35-day notice to one state agency, and then you have to move on, and you have to give appropriate notice so that everyone like yourselves who have taken time out of your morning today to be here are notified of meetings and hearings and those kinds of things, so you have the opportunity to come forth and testify in front of the Planning Commission and Board Commissioners or whomever. The other thing I'd like to point out is I think there was also some confusion in a couple of the testimonies here alluding to the fact that this board perhaps has some control over what happens within the cities in the county. We don't. Those are your individual city councils that make those decisions on whether or not a grow or a commercial grow operation or a dispensary or something goes within city limits. Those are all done individually by the cities. So regardless of the moratorium discussion that we're having here today, we're talking about this, as we did back in April, affecting those unincorporated areas of the county outside of city limits. So once again, there's different layers that we have to all look at, and the simple fact that the state legislature, in my opinion, my humble opinion, not speaking on behalf of this board, the state legislature did nowhere near enough work to wrap their arms around this so that it offered better protections for not only the growers, the people that run dispensaries, the people that use the products or anything else. I think that they pretty much walked away from it and said it's all up to you guys, which left local government, whether it's counties or cities, having to fend for themselves. We feel like in this county that we have a due process that we need to go through to make sure that we hopefully make the best decisions that we can based on the information that we get. Now, many of you folks have come into my office, many of you have called and emailed and we've talked. And many, many more out there have it's interesting when I hear folks talk about wanting to expand and that we're slowing down the process. The number of people that own large commercial grow operations saying, you guys are doing the right thing. These steps need to be taken, and you need to make sure that the rules are done with good forethought. So, there's two sides to every discussion, and we appreciate the fact that everyone has really been forthright with their opinions and with the information, and we're always looking for more documentation. I've got people still from the first hearings that we did that are still emailing information when they see a good article, when they see some compelling information on both or either side of it, to bring forth to us. When you spoke about hemp and that market out there in the world, you're absolutely right. And interestingly enough, after Measure 91 passed, we started getting people coming into our offices talking about wanting to start hemp grows here in Columbia County because we apparently have great soil, especially over in the Nehalem Valley, that would be real perfect for growing commercial hemp. And then in the next breath they say, but we'd like to have you guys in your ordinance create a buffer zone so people can't grow their recreational or medical marijuana within a buffer zone because we don't want our pollen impacting their grows and this and that and the other thing. So once again, where everybody came together to get Measure 91 passed, now we've got the factions out there, medical, recreational, hemp, and folks that are now going back to their own strong points saying, okay, now we need to figure out how to protect our own business model and that kind of thing. So we have a lot of stuff that we have to sort through, and our staff, doing the bulk of the work on the zoning issues and that kind of thing. For folks that suggested earlier that we've been sitting on our hands, I'd just like to tell you, the work that our staff has been doing has been phenomenal. And part of it is the simple fact of the matter, to some degree we're breaking new ground. And there are other counties out there that are having to break the same ground because once again, the parameters of those decisions were not necessarily guided well by the legislature, and that again is in my opinion. So with that, I think I've spoken way enough. So it's time for us to either deliberate further. Commissioner Hyde or Fisher?
Chair, if you would, I would offer a motion up. And I would move that we extend the marijuana moratorium order 44/22/15 for the next, until February 1, or as soon as we possibly can get the hearings done, not to exceed February 1.
I think the date is listed in the order.
Okay.
So if you just move for approval of the order 44-2015.
I would move that.
Is there a second? I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve order number 44-2015 in the matter of extending a temporary moratorium on medical and recreational marijuana facilities within the jurisdiction of Columbia County. Is there any further discussion?
I do have a question.
Commissioner Fisher.
If in fact we're able to expedite this in the planning commission and the board moves to approve rules prior to the February date, can we enact them at that time? Or do we have to wait till the moratorium runs out?
No, you can enact any new rules and lift the moratorium
Okay,
at any time.
that's what I thought. I want to make sure. If we get it done sooner, we'll do it sooner. Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Same sign.
Respectfully, no.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation this morning. We certainly appreciate it.